These are your styles, vertical. Rails are horizontal. Just like a rail on a rail fence. Alright, now I've got a spot of glue back here where that was nailed on. I'm going to clean that. I'll clean this, clean that panel, get the old glue residue off, and I'm going to take this apart. This drawer slide concoction here. I'm going to take it all apart and clean it up and flip it over so the grooved outside will now be facing down and the fresh side will be facing up, but it's still the old piece of wood. Everywhere there's glue, scrape it off. Scrapers are a handy thing if you're going to work on antiques. This is a homemade one, about 100 years old. I think somebody in a chair factory made it, but it's a really good one. The reason that you clean these blocks, number one, I like to use the original blocks because they're old and they look old, and if anybody looks inside they're gonna see old wood. But the reason you clean them is because glue won't stick to glue, not very well. Glue needs fresh wood. It needs open pores. And if you just glue right on top of glue, it'll stay there a little bit, but it doesn't stick near as good as if you clean them. This old hide glue, it was pretty stout in its time, but it's very old, and it gets kind of crunchy and brittle, and sometimes it comes off of there with a vengeance. It'll come off there and slap you in the face, get in your eyes, and everything else, so you really got to be careful about when you're scraping it. I wear glasses because I'm blind, but you might want to wear some safety glasses that'll shield your eyes from these little particles of glue flying at you. Alright, this is one set of a drawer slide. Slide, blocks, and guides. Now I'm going to wait 3 or 4 hours on this drawer side. The extensions I put on the side to dry before I come back and try to install this. So I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, it's been, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours since I glued these up. Take the clamps off of them. Now I'm going to cut off this excess, this part that's sticking out past the back of the drawer box. I'm going to go ahead and whack that off. This is a Stanley low angle block plane. Very, very good little plane. I've had it for nearly 50 years. Still got the same blade. Actually, the blade of a plane is called an iron. What I'm doing is letting the back of my plane ride on this existing surface, putting the iron to this raised portion. And that will eventually come down to here. If you'll notice, the back end of this drawer has got a bevel on it. It's sloped off that way. So I match the retread to this little bevel. I think that just makes it go into the opening easier. It's just a typical thing. There's a little bevel in the back end of the drawer side. Now the height, the distance from the bottom of the front to the bottom of this the bottom of the side now, I don't know about this yet. I'm going to, you can see how much difference there is in those two heights. And I won't know that until I stick it in the drawer opening and see how much it needs to be raised. There are no runners back in here. All I have to set it on is this rail, but I can put it in there and just hold it up. I can tell, see, that won't fit. It's hitting the top. It's just too tall. So I'm going to take some of this off. I'm going to take off probably a 1/16 of it. Okay, that fits in the opening. If anything, it's a little too close to the top. This side's a little higher off the bottom, but it's pretty good for right now. I can fine tune that later when I put my runners in, my tracks. So that's what I'm going to work on now. All right, that tongue right there goes into a groove in the back of the rail. It gets glued in there, and that pushes forward, and that glue joint there is strong. It gets glued to the side of the inside of the cabinet, the carcass, and then also it gets glued back here at the back, and a little tack, a little nail put in there to keep it up and down. You get it adjusted to where the drawer fits correctly on the front here, and then you raise this up and down to get it to fit that way, and then you tack that, and then you put your glue block underneath against the panel and one against this stile here on the end, outside end of the cabinet. What I'm going to do is dry fit this without any glue on that drawer slide. I'm going to stick this in there. We'll get it even with the front. And right now the drawer is tipped down in the back because it's past even right here, and it's even on the bottom. So the back of the drawer needs to come up to make this face fit flush. Now I've got myself a stick which is a little bit longer than from there to there, and I'm going to put it in there and push that thing up and prop it up until this is even. And when I get this stick in the right place, this will be even, which it is right now. Alright, now I'm going to mark where that runner is on the side of the cabinet, inside. I have marked that slide top and bottom. It's a little stiff because I've still got to fine tune these runners, and also I've got to wax it. Once I get everything lined up and wax it, it'll really slide. Now I'm going to glue it and stick it in place. I've got my pencil mark back there. I can see it now because there's enough light coming in here. I can tell more what I'm doing. Now I've got my stick back in there just to make sure before I put that tack in the back. I'm going to slide this back in there. You notice it went way too far in. That's a separate problem. There are stops that keep that drawer, they stop it at the correct place, and they're not in there yet. All right, that's really smooth on top and bottom. On right and left. All right, that tells me that my drawer track is correct up and down back here in the back. Now and then you can get yourself stuck in a cabinet. You have to be careful of that. These glue blocks, if you just hold them for just a few seconds, they stick. They'll stay there. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side and put those tracks in as well. Alright, I'm fixing to put the track in. This is the slide, the part that it sits down on. The track keeps it tracking from side to side. And what I'm going to do is glue towards this outside edge. It's going to be recessed a little bit back from the inside of the case opening, because you don't want that drawer to hang on it. When you first go in, if it's about a 64th back from the edge, is fine, but you do not want that thing sticking out. What it's going to do is line it up as it goes back. It's going to almost be not a wedge fit, but it's going to get tighter as it goes back than what it is at the very front. I'm just going to let that glue just sit there a second. And I'm going to pull the back of that thing over, too far over. And I'm going to slide the drawer in and let the drawer push it over where it needs to go. I'm going to take the drawer on purpose. I'm going to slide it back that way a little bit. And then when I get it in place, I'll push the right side over, and it'll shove that drawer track, that track over. It'll just push it over. Let that sit there a second, and then retrace my steps and come back out of there. And that drawer track lines itself up. You can nail that, but you take a risk of jarring stuff loose. So what I'm going to do is put a couple of clamps on it. Alright, I have plenty of clearance. Alright, these are stops. You can put them on top. You can hit the front of the drawer on top. You can hit the front of the drawer on the bottom, right in here. Usually you can look at a drawer and tell where it's been banged against. And they'll tell you where the stops have been. It really doesn't make a lot of difference. I like putting them on the bottom down here, because if there is a track, it tracks underneath the drawer down here where you don't see it. If you put them on top and you beat this inside edge up right here, I just don't think it looks good. So I have actually, before I started filming, I went ahead and set these two stops in. I'll show you how to do that as soon as I get these clamps out of the way and get done with that process there. So once your once these drawer sides have been extended, your tracks are in place, your slides are in place, and your stops are in place, that drawer's done.